Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stash Project. We are going inside the stash once again. Uh, Basically, this video's way behind. A lot of the videos are way behind, so let's talk about why we're so far behind, shall we? Basically, we go back 2 weeks ago. There really wasn't enough to do a show. And there was like one kit, and there was no announcements, and there was no resin, and there was no nothing, basically, aftermarket to talk about. So I skipped that week because, I was going to put out a 3-minute video that was just silly. The following Monday was a Japanese holiday. It was Marine Day. And so things were really, really light for that week as well. Got a big dump on Friday. Had planned to do that video that weekend. That weekend also coincided with a weekend where my wife was off. So try to do stuff with family, and that rolled us into this past week. This past week, I finally got around to installing myself. Kind of a pat on the back because it seems to have worked. My window, the window we had talked about, that was going to be glass block with the vent for a dryer vent, so that I could, get my whole airbrush setup. So I got that in, and I've got about a quarter of the wall, what I would consider to be waterproof. I've still got some more work to do with that little corner over there, as far as making sure it's completely sealed and doing all right. So I got the window in. So as you can see, we have a window. I know it's kind of horribly backlit right now due to the fact that the sun is on the south side of the house right now. But obviously, the little plasticky looking doohickey on the right side of it is the vent for the dryer outlet. Right now, the outside of it is covered with the shrink wrap that the window came with. Basically, that way the little shutters on it wouldn't get damaged in transit. That's what it has, plastic sealable shutters on it. So when it's not running, they will fall shut and seal the gap so that you don't get back blow from outside as far as rain or cold weather or whatever the case may be. And we have to obviously plumb a line to it and all the good stuff for the spray booth. That's a whole nother debacle as far as the spray booth goes. We'll talk about in half a second. But this you'll see over here, if I can get my finger right here, this stuff where the wall is whiter than this part up here where it's just dingy from 50 years of never being washed, is the waterproofing. There's a couple coats of Drylock Ultra, which is a commercial grade industrial waterproofing system. Why didn't I go all the way up? Well, where that line is where the foundation line is. The rest of that wall is above grade. So as we work it across the wall, because obviously I've got to seal in that window and just keep going, we'll go up, because once you get about to the divider line of where my area, if you will, ends, is where the ground goes, the ground rises to meet the foundation, because once you get to the back of my basement, we're completely underground. The closer you get to this side of the basement, the more out of ground we are. When you come over here, probably only a third of the wall is below grade. So I got all that taken care of, and I'm feeling pretty good about myself, because I've never done anything like a window installation of any window, let alone a glass block window. I got the window in, and it turned out that the way this house was constructed in 1957, I thought that the foundation is, it's cinder block, and I thought that it was beveled like this on the inside, because that was what was needed to make the window clear, because it was a single aluminum pane tilt-in window. You could do all sorts of things with this window as far as where you could tilt it and how you could position it. I never even played with them really prior to trying to get it out of the wall. And I thought, oh, well, it's just, beveled on the one side, and we'll just set the window in, and we'll be all set, because there was a whole trace of bricks outside that we could make just sort of flush with the outside of the house. Yeah, no. On the outside of the house, you can't really tell because of course, the ground, being rising up to it. It's beveled too. So effectively, when they built this house, they built a pyramid on top of the cinder blocks, I don't know why they didn't just put block windows in all these windows when they built this place. You have to ask my grandfather. Uh, but it was a pyramid. So I had to then, what I was assuming was going to be a 1-day install turned into a 3-day install, because the first day I had to build a platform to put this in, because in addition to that not being flat, being a point, it then made the window measurements that I took be completely out of spec. The window ended up being about 3 inches too short top to bottom, and probably an inch too short side to side. But that was okay, because that meant when it was centered, it was a half inch on each side, and that measurement was okay. The top to the bottom, yeah, that wasn't quite anywhere near being correct. I could have used a whole big. If you can't tell in that with what I showed you, but it's a full size glass block where that discharge is, and then it's like a quarter or 3/4 size glass block on the top and bottom. One of those two traces of glass blocks could have been full size, and it would have still fit and had a gap around it. So I had to build a platform, a level flat platform. Got that taken care of. Put some shims up there, chucked it up in there, and it was still about 2 inches too short. So lots of shims to get it up high enough to shim it from the outside on the top to get it to be, so I could get it to be level. And then 30 pounds, all told, 35 pounds probably, and that includes building the platform. So 35 pounds of mortar later, I have a window. Pretty proud of myself, because, like I said, not really. It's not that I'm not a handy guy. It's just I don't do this stuff normally. I'd rather pay somebody else to do it than do it myself. But I was like, well, the window's only $131, and then the supplies aren't really that expensive. It was an incredible learning experience. I mean, I've got 2 more to do. One way over this way, by my washer and dryer, is pretty much useless at this point. It's more of a decorative item than it is a window. So that'll probably be sometime before winter comes. We'll get that one taken care of. I know what size to order this time, and like I said, I'm very proficient at putting mortar down the sides of a window, and I got it in there, and the mortar's set, and everything's is tight. Apparently, there's either a very large bee or a fly that just showed up, and the top is silicone caulk, and it's watertight because we got biblical flooding like 2 days later. I was good, man. I got my corner that the water was leaching in, sealed. Window, which was leaking water when it would get really, really bad, it was drizzling around the corners. That's why the walls all stained. Watertight. It's 30 pounds of concrete, basically, or Portland cement, and it's watertight. Especially now because, like I said, that discharge still has a shrink wrap on the outside of it. Apparently, and I don't know for sure if the water transited underneath the whole house, which is a possibility, or because this corner is now waterproof and it couldn't come in through the wall anymore, it decided it was going to come up through a crack in my slab floor that I didn't realize was there. I realized it was there in the existential sort of way of, like, I've looked down at the floor and went, there's a crack down there. Didn't realize it was quite as bad as it looked. So I came home from work on Saturday morning, figuring to do the video and then waterproof some more wall, and to find that everything that sits behind this chair was sunk in about an 1/8 to 1/4 inch of water that came up through the foundation crack, or through the slab crack, I should say. Fortunately, the real heavy rain that caused that flooding, for lack of a better term, to occur, had occurred right before I got home. It rained here like torrentially twice on Friday night, and then Friday night, and then once Saturday morning. It was a Saturday morning one that apparently was too moss for the floor to take, and so the only thing I could say that I lost, because there was a bunch of stuff sitting on the floor, was boxes. And not even the kit boxes, just the boxes the kit boxes were sitting in. Fortunately, they were all big, thick, industrial Hobby Link Japan shipping boxes. So, I obviously took them out of the water immediately. For a while, I couldn't figure out where the water was coming from because there was a box sitting on the crack. And I kind of wonder if the crack didn't just get wet and it was like, ooh, look, cardboard, and just started sucking water up out of the floor. that one had like one box that was actually in the box. It was kind of damp, but everything was okay. Everything was fine. Model kits are fine. Anybody who's worried about the decals, they're way up high, so they're not anywhere near. I would literally need to get 6 foot of water in my basement before the decals would be a factor. But yeah, so that turned into now looking at outside drainage solutions. Probably got to put a French drain around at least 2/3 of the house. I need to just separately because it has nothing to do with this corner, but just for the health of the house, I need to put a drainage pot, underground drainage solution, underground drainage for the gutter downspout that's on the front corner of the house. The gutters out here, I need to play with some more because they're not quite doing what I need them to do. At least not in these torrential downpours. We don't get light rain anymore for whatever reason. We've not had a hot summer. We've had a very wet summer, and it always seems to be, it's not like, oh, look, it rained all day, and it was, nice, and the gutters could handle it, and, no, it's biblical flooding. It's rained here like that twice in 10 days, and the first time I got my neighbors 3 doors up, mind you, their pool filter, their pool deck, most of their deck, their little, I don't know what the heck I want to call it. It was like another filter. Basically, it was a thing. If any of you guys who own a pool and don't have like a in-ground pool that has the big fancy equipment where it does everything yourself. You have an above ground pool. You have to put chlorine tablets in it, and usually you do that with one of those little floaty doohickeys that also has a temperature gauge on it, so it tells you how warm your pool is. And they had one of those type of things, only it was much larger than that. I wound up with their timer for their pool pump attached to a 25-foot long extension cord, as well as about a 50-foot length of garden hose and a beam that was about 12 by 4 by 4 that was their bridge over the creek in their backyard that lets them get from their house to their pool, because their pool is very, very hilly around here, and their backyard goes and then flattens out. Well, about a third of that flattened out, there's a creek that runs down. So that creek flash flooded, and it tore everything from the side of their pool that was beside the creek off and dumped it in my yard. They've gotten parts of it. At this point, most of their deck is now in a burn pile, actually. But yeah, what are you going to do? So yeah, about done with the rain. I would like the ground to freeze up, and I don't think I want it to snow, though, because these rain events have been like 3 to 5 inches, and that's 3 to 5 feet of snow, and I don't want that either. So I remember from my childhood when global warming got started, and then in the late 80s, my mother was one of the people who was very, very worried about the environment, and it was hot, and the ground would crack because it would be so dry. And I know that some parts of the country are getting that. It ain't here, and I'm done with the rain. So yeah. I have gone out and I've bought 2 new shelving systems because I've got to get the stuff off the ground. And basically what we're going to be doing here in the next couple of weeks, or the next week I would say, is I've got to finish waterproofing that wall. And then I'm going to waterproof the wall over here and this wall behind me as it turned eventually. And I got to do it in sections just because, I work and kids and everything else. So I went out and I've got another gallon of the waterproofer. I've got stuff for sealing cracks in concrete floors, sealing junctions where floor slabs meet each other, junctions for where the walls are. If it seals concrete, I have some of it right now. I don't care if this house gets up and floats off. There is no water coming in here, or at least no water coming in here. I'd rather not have water coming anywhere, but I really don't want it coming in here, because that was a couple $1,000s worth of stuff that was submerged in water, and I would prefer to not have to repurchase it all, because my air compressor was in that water, my spray booth was in that water. The air compressor box is probably one of the few things that was really utterly destroyed just because it was such cheap and flimsy cardboard. It was not the shipping crate that it came in, but just the packaging from Badger. Fortunately, that air compressor was still wrapped in its plastic from shipping, and all the electrical stuff is on top of it. So it still works. Everything is okay. We're fine. So much many more work to do. I was hoping this week I could come down here and be all like, look at this, it's all set up, huzzah, we're gonna start building models, or at least threaten to, and we're still weeks away at this point because of this mess. Every time you think you solve a problem, you go backwards. I was saying it's a summer of glaciers and shovels. It seems like every time I get something done, I go back 5 steps, and the 5 steps I go back is another construction project involved. So we'll get it taken care of. It's just kind of frustrating. So let's take a look at some stuff we've gotten in here, because despite the water, we also got other things in as well, because we haven't done one of these videos for a while. So one thing I picked up while I was at Lowe's getting all of this other stuff is a respirator. This is a auto body auto paint shop grade respirator with the proper cartridges and proper filters. Guys, if you're thinking about doing inside painting, and I don't care how good your paint booth is, because this is a first line defense object, not a, oh, it smells in my basement defense object, especially if you're doing stuff that is 2K clear, anything with volatile organic solids in it, yeah, go out and this was, I think, all told for everything, this is like $42. And you know, these outside cart, you actually get 2 sets of these. In terms of these first line filters, so there's actually another set I have already. These cartridges are replaceable. Obviously, this mass part is not designed to be. You know, it's eventually replaceable. It's 3M, so it's not some cheap Chinese knockoff. And when it comes right down to it, guys, I mean, we've talked about our various health issues and crises and whatnot in the past. Protect your lungs if you're going to be painting indoors. Even if you're painting acrylics, I would wear a dust mask at least for acrylic, just because you don't want to inhale any aerosolized paints. Because most acrylics, oh, like this, you know, Tamiya. Hey, look, it's acrylic, but it's flammable. It's because it's an alcohol-based acrylic. So you really don't want to be breathing in anything that catch on fire. And if you start using Gravity Zero or you know, House of Colors or anything it's a actual real life automotive paint, yeah, spend your money, invest in your life. You don't want to go out with lung cancer in your 40s if you're not already a smoker, in which case maybe it's too late and who cares. Well, not to say we don't care if you die, but you know what I mean. So one thing we picked up here on the domestic side of things here recently was this. This is the recent reissue of the 1981 and a half Datsun 280ZX Turbo, and its original Lesney AMT packaging. This kit is interesting in the fact that on the bottom, I mean, we've talked about this for, you know, since Round 2 started leasing the tooling, before they actually bought all the AMT Erdl Lindbergh stuff, was that you look at the bottom of the box to see the parts layout. Well, on this one, there's just more detail on the bottom. I mean, that's a nice feature, but where's the parts layout? I was going to say, well, all right, guys, well, you know, from here on out, well, now, except that I've seen the bottom of the box of releases since then, and yeah, the part layout's back. So I don't know if this was a one-off kind of deal that they were testing, and maybe it'll be more in the future, or I don't know what the deal is necessarily with that. But be that as it may, that one box does not have the, you know, does not have the actual bottom to it that we would expect from a Round 2 kit. Oh, let's see what else is going on here. We got some messages coming in. I heard my phone dinging upstairs. All right, nothing, wife. So it's nothing I can't wait. You guys know, of course, I'm plumbing the depths of Japan in terms of getting stuff out of it, as far as kits and materials and stuff like that. So one of the things I've been picking up, because I have so many Super GT kits and decals and things like that, and one of the big differences with Super GT stuff is how the body style, or not the body styles, but different little individual modifications were made year to year. that are not reflected in the Tamiya kits, because the Tamiya kits are like 1 year type things. You know, the Nismo Z, the 350Z is a 2004, but they ran those cars into the 2010s in this, especially in the second division. The NSXs are 2005s, the Lexus are 2006, and then the GTRs are 2008. I got these, and I was not expecting them to be quite as big, honestly. I got these official guidebooks. Now they're in Japanese, obviously, so it's more of a picture book. I mean, there is a program for Google Translate for your phone. This does not work with Google Translate on a computer, but on your phone, Google Translate will allow you to take a picture, and it translates the picture, the words in the picture, basically. Basically, it's designed for tourists, so you can take a picture of a sign and be able to know what the sign says, but it also works for printed materials. What is really, really neat about these guidebooks, and this one right here is 2007, if I can get the page to come up, is they have a very, very in-depth look at what is different between each year. In this case, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a little like 5 up here and a little 6, or a little 6 up here and a little 7 down here, being this is the brakes in 2006, these are the brakes in 2007. That's the side skirt in 2006, that's the side skirt in 2007. They show you the roof shape, the rear brakes, how the exhaust flows. There's also in the back, in the next page here, how the rear diffuser is different between the years. This case being a 350 Nismo 350Z. So you can see all the different ways that the the rear end looks. So if you're going to build the cars and you're going to build them out to spec, as it were, basically, you know, not just put the decals on and just go, oh, it's 2007. You can. This is a very handy book. It's 134 pages long, each of them. And then what beyond that, if you go into sort of the back here, it'll give you sort of all of the what ran what year, as far as like the numbers. They're in numeric order. So this is a number 3 car. There's your number 6 car. The number 8 Arta NSX. The number 12 Calsonic. So it'll give you all of the GT500 class, which is the top line class cars. And then if you go into the very, very back, it gives you all of the GT3 cars, or the GT300 cars. In 2007, there was a lot of privateer teams running oddball cars that are, were sort of one-offs. This is like this Ferrari F360 is probably the most realistic car here. Some of these other ones are Japanese manufactured race cars, but I got the 2006, the 2006, the 2007, the 2008, 2009. Also, somewhere, once I ship it, I have the last JGTC year, which was the first JGTC year that was done as one of these guidebooks, which was 2004, and then I have all of the other Super GT books coming for 2005, and then 2010 through 2015. So many, many guidebooks coming. That like I said, I don't have. And like I said, they're fantastic in the sense of reference photos for changing the things. Obviously the 2005 NSX, you could just ignore the reference photos, other than being able to make colors of things the right colors, because that's the year the cars came into effect. But at the 2006, well, they changed the splitter, they changed the wing shape, they changed all this other stuff. So if you really want to make the cars accurate, those are great. They're priced at like $10 a piece when they were new. I'm picking them up used, obviously, although they're not used like, oh my god, look at this, it's tore apart. And they've been like $3 a piece. And so $3 a piece plus whatever it costs to ship them, which is next to nothing because they're printed material in with a bunch of model kits. It's well worth the money to me. So decals, because of course, why wouldn't there be? We got this set right here, which is a auto color set for the TWR Jaguar, the Hasegawa kit. Of course, we've talked, just if you watched our August compilation video, this kit is coming out any day now. This allows you to build the 500 kilometers of Donington, which is a European Touring Car Championship race. I believe they won that race. This down here lets you build the 1984 Ghia race of Macau car, which is a Johnny Player special car. Evil Tobacco. And I always like the black and gold anyway. And then there's also decals in here, although the instructions are on the front side here, which runs this 51 and this Strathmore Group stuff down here, which is the 1986 Japan Intertech series, which is an endurance racing series for very close to factory spec cars, touring cars basically. It actually still runs. It's not called the Intertech series anymore. But if you pay attention to your decals and you pay attention to your out-of-country auto sports, basically, you know there's a bunch of Intertech decals for the Tommy F6 series BMW, as well as the recently done Corolla 11 kit that BMAX did, and the Honda Civic. I picked a bunch of stuff up here from Japan directly because you can't get these decals anymore. They're out of production. This one here is for the 2007 Lexus Zent sponsored car. Many Zents. Zents out the wazoo. This will be an interesting car to do because this is this shows it being silver and black, but the actual car itself is chrome on this half. So, yeah, we're gonna. This is a later on in the building cycle kind of project here because I've effectively have to chrome half the body and paint the other half black. This here would be your Clarion Woodone Z from 2007. Handy, we just had the 2007 book up, did we not? So that's what this one looks like. A lot of modifications to the original Tamiya 2004 kit to make it a 2007, but it'll be worth it. This is the Eclipse sponsored Lexus SC from 2007 as well. It's just a white car, and the decals do pretty much everything else, other than obviously the modifications you need to make the 2006 kit into 2007. Least amount of modifications you need. The 2008 car really has a much different rear diffuser area. The 2006 still runs this, oops, wrong side, still runs this overhang without a diffuser on the back. But speaking of 2008 and up, you have this here, which is the Petronas livery for the 2008 Lexus SC. And just from the line drawing alone, you can see we've added a much larger rear diffuser area coming out the back of the car here. That'll be interesting to do in the sense of building because you may recall that this kit, along with the Lexus or the NSX, have like a die-cast metal chassis to them, so that'll be interesting. This is the Huzan Lexus SC from 2008. Some gold decals there, gold foil, very nice. There's also a set of these for a 350Z, and it's just a white car. And the decals do pretty much everything else. Again, 2008, so we'll have to figure out that rear diffuser area. Might be something to consider resin casting along the way to make if the parts are easily done. Here is the Zona 2011 or 2010, excuse me, Ferrari F430. You recall that Fujimi does a Ferrari F430 kit, so that's what these will go to, if it'll focus. Now, if this paint scheme seems vaguely familiar, it's because this is the Jim Gaynor racing team, and they did a number of decal sets for that car, including a set of kits from Fujimi themselves for the Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG, so you can build a series of cars. This is the Daishin Ferrari F430 from 2009. This will let you build either the Super GT car or the American Le Mans Series car, or excuse me, the Asian Le Mans Series car. So that's just a bright orange Ferrari F430. This right here is a supplemental little decal sheet Spot model for the 2011 Nissan GTR, the Calsonic. So it's just basically some associate sponsorships that have changed. Basically, you use the kit decals themselves, and then you just fill in those decals where you need to in order to change up the associate sponsorships. This was very cool because I didn't realize some of these decals existed even. What? I know. This is the Garmin sponsored 911 GT3R from 2010. Now, this kit, if that sounds familiar, that's because the first Good Smell Racing with Cox Racing kit that Fujimi did, it's the first 911 GT3R, so why the 911 GT3R kit exists, was this car with an anime series. Now, this car was run in the Japan Carrera Cup, which was obviously a Carrera single make racing series in Japan. And they ran in 2010, 2010. They ran an all-star race of all sorts of drivers from all different disciplines of Japanese racing. And in the all-star race, the Cox Racing team did not run the anime car or the anime drivers. They ran the Carrera Cup car with its Carrera Cup design, which is very basic. If you actually have a GT3 kit, the Fujimi blank kit, as it were, the one that doesn't come with any kind of other decals, you know that this layout of these lines with the GT3R logos in the shape of the Porsche and stuff like that is basically what the decal sheet that comes with the car is. It's just missing all of the other Garmin logos and the numbers and everything else like that. So this was very cool to be able to pick up. Spot model had one left, so I jumped on it from a great height. So it'll be a nice companion piece to the anime car. And then on eBay, this was just hanging out. This is the 2006. Builds either the Modal or the Xnavi 350Z. Just an update, basically, of the decals. I need to find another one because this builds one or the other, but not both. This on the back here shows the building the Modal car. The instructor sheet's obviously folded in half. The Xnavi one's on the other side. But it's either the 22 or the 23 car, whichever one you decide to build. Like I said, need to find another one. This set of decals here, which another one that I picked up out of Japan, is one that I'm going to have to pick up a very, very, well, not very, but expensive little trans kit, or I should say an expensive multimedia kit. This is the 2012 Zona sponsored Audi R8 Super GT car, and it's now that gray color that the other cars, the SLS AMGs, are. So Studio 27 makes a multimedia kit for the Le Mans R8, and so we're going to pick one of those up. Eventually, no big hurry. Those kits are available. This is MZ decals, which is sold by Studio 27. And this is the Tyson star card, if you will, because that's what this little logo in there is for, if I can get the focus. Too much shiny, there we go. And this is the 1994 Japanese Grand Touring Championship Ferrari F40. MSM Creations, as it turns out, makes the 1995 sponsored car, which is one that you guys, people that are familiar with this car, because this is a fairly famous race car within Asia itself, because it was a weird sort of 1.5 season run thing. The F40 was not a race supported car by the time it raced in the JGTC, but this car actually did win a race in the 1994 season. So that's that. I got from Hobbylink Japan a couple of the Kawasaki Skyline GTR decals. This is a Group A Japanese Touring Car Championship car. Looking to build this with the Fujimi GT3 with the R32s that they reissued. 2 sets because you can build either a 92 or a 93. And last but not least, and I feel like I'm missing stuff, and I know there's some stuff I got with cars, but I think this is the last one I have that's just laying around. This is the Advan sponsored 2011 GTR for Super GT, which looks like that. Which you realize is the same sort of paint scheme as the Wood one, 350Z. As you go through this team that owned this car, you realize that they painted the car pretty much the same for years and years and years, and just changed they're always Nissans, and they just sort of changed the sponsorships. One of the sort of things interesting about this and sort of dates it a little bit are these Pray for Japan logos that are in here. This, of course, will be right after the earthquake and tsunami that happened to Japan that year. So there is that. So moving on to some kits that came in. Picked both these next two up on eBay from the same seller. He was being very generous as far as I was concerned with what the pricing was. I've wanted one of these for a while because this is the full detail kit. It is the Opel Astra that is the one that has the opening gull-wing doors, but it's curbside. So this is the Opel Calibra V6 DTM. It is from 1995, I want to say? Yeah, 1995. So it would be appropriate to display with the Alfa Romeo and the Mercedes C-Class DTM kits. So there's two of these, at least. I think there might be three, but there's two of them that are easily. The other one's the Cliff car. The Cliff decals are available through Shunko continuously. These Opel Team Jost decals are not right now. These decals inside here look like they're really good, though, so there's hoping for that. I picked up another one of these first-gen NSXs. It didn't really matter which kit it was. It was just, I grabbed this one because it was cheap. It was like 15 bucks. Plus, I have a spare set of these Mobil 1 decals now, because, again, the decals look really good. The guy took really good care of his stuff and then just wanted to get rid of it, I guess. But I have a set of decals for a 1997 Advan sponsored car, so this is just a base kit at this point. Since I've gone into sort of getting some of the anime stuff, I swore I wasn't going to do this. I swore that I wasn't going to do this. This was not going to happen to me. I was not going to get involved in the Good Smile Racing kits. I lied to myself. Because when these started coming out, I was like, yeah, well, whatever. They're not real race cars. They're just, Itasca or Itishka, garish anime cars. Oh, it's a real race car. So, I'm not buying these in a mass quantity, in the sense of, like, I need them all right now, but as I find them for good deals, or they're out of production. This is the first kit that was done of the Z4s. This is the round 3 Sepang car. So this is not in production currently. So I went and grabbed it because when things go out of production in Japan, they tend to suddenly multiply in price for some reason until maybe a year or two goes by, and then all of a sudden it craters out and the price drops. I'm not sure what that's about exactly, but here's a little close up of what the decals look like. Let's go this way. It's too much going on there, and my camera's like, no, I ain't focusing on that. You ain't gonna decal that either. It's a good thing I like decals. Am I right? So there's that. I picked this kit up out of Japan. Not really something I had even seen before. This is the Cord Kangani Porsche 911, or Porsche 911, obviously. This ran in the GT300 class, or what was the GT3 class at the time, in JGTC in 1994. It was the championship car for that division. This is what I would call your typical Fujimi kit, in the sense it is a wild disappointment if you wanted to build this thing in a realistic manner. These wheels are in it, which is handy, because, wheels are a pain in the ass to get a hold of, especially if there's period wheels for a specific racing car. Decals come with it, yay, because where would you get a set of replacement decals? And they're actually pretty much wrapped yellow, which I probably two-tone this yellow rather than trying to use some 15 or actually 20-year-old decals. If I could just get the logos and the words to come off without destroying the decals, I'll be happy, let alone worrying about the striping itself. But this is a race car. The contents of this box, however, are a Porsche Carrera 2 street car with half a roll cage and some wheels. There's also like a fire bottle and a computer in here. It is 4 parts to make this into a race car. It is not a race car. Be aware that if you're looking at any of these kits from the I'm trying to think when this kit was made, I think it was 94. 94, 95, when this kit came out originally. But there are a series of these for Le Mans and the Japanese Carrera Cup from around 94, 95, 96. They're all the same. They may have some parts to make them look like the race cars, but they are a street interior with a little bit of a roll cage. This little bit in the back there. You need the a Tamiya GT2 for the interior, basically, and the chassis, which happens to actually fit inside this body, from what I'm reliably informed from a Porsche file friend. And yeah, so this will be interesting when we get around to it, because I have a bunch of GT2s to make actual GT2 cars, not to stand around and make to make modifications of that. And then while I was excuse me, doing my research into GT3 cars that ran in the Super GT class, I came across the fact that Fujimi made a Pacific NAC LMP Motorsports car, 2 of them actually, and I always just sort of ignored it because it's in a different racing series. It's in something Dakar series. I can't remember what the racing car, what the Japanese actually translates. But this is the 2012 Super GT 430. This is a legitimate race car. Skipped over it because it doesn't have the numbers on the side, so I assumed it was just a, graphics package. This little thing up here in English says, and I quote, "The invader comes from under the sea." So I don't know who's invading, the schoolgirl nurse, or Godzilla, Mothra, whatever. But yeah, so this has this set of decals inside. So the one thing you need for this that doesn't come with it is a set of number 27s for the actual race car. Because like I said, this is a legitimate race car. If I remember when I'm editing this, I'll put a picture of the actual race car. But this is a legitimate race car, much like all of the Good Small racing cars. I have, in one of these guidebooks, a bunch of little Preston Steel vinyl stickers that actually happen for some reason to be 1/24 scale. And one of them will be the number 27. So what I'm trying to do is get somebody, a couple of different people I'm talking to, to take that peel and stick sticker, actually the entire sheet of them, because I love to have a whole spare set of numbers, and scan them and print them in water slide so that I could put the numbers on this. So there's that. I got this. This is I think this, let me think, this is the one with the decals. It is, all right. So this is a 99 Calsonic GTR. I picked one of these up in one of the last stash report videos, or stash project videos. And why do I have another one? Well, I found this in Japan with a set of decals attached. So what we have here are the 1999 Autobox R34 GTR decals. These are an unobtainium. I didn't even know this decal set existed. What? Yeah, I know, right? And so this makes this car. And yeah, that's cool. I mean, I don't think these are the right wheels for this car. It's got these big blocky impole wheels, but I'm sure I've got something that this will fit on. I've got another 99 GTR of some sort laying around here. But yeah, so there's that. That's cool. What's really neat about this is in 2000, this car became that Castrol decal set that I have, and just another neat little thing I'm happy with. last but not least, directly from Japan through Bai, is this. This is the Soge Kibi, otherwise known as the Team Endless Porsche GT2. This is a very complex decal sheet in the sense that the decals do everything. The decals actually, for not being sealed anymore, look like they're in pretty good shape. So I'm hoping that this will work. This may be one of the first. We've got a few things that are going to be, when we get the bench done, we've got a few things that are going to come on the bench. But this may be one of the first ones, just because, along with some of the first gen NSX kits, because I want to get these decals used before it gets any later in life. These are from 1997. And, 1990s Tamiya decals are iffy at best as it is. And I really don't want to make them, hang out any later. But when I say you need a GT2 kit for the interior and the chassis, this would be the GT2 kit you need. And then this box, guys, is all from Hobby Link Japan. We're going to plow through this real quick. A lot of this stuff is projects for other projects. Lancer Evolution Final Edition. Got this. This will be used for the London Metro, or not but the Yorkshire Constabulary car that Studio Choice have made decals for. We talked about in one of the last videos, weekly videos that we did, that they made a set of decals that come with a light bar now. So hopefully they're going to sell that light bar separately, because I already own the decals and I don't want to pay $35 for a light bar and decals when I already own the decals. But this would be the base kit for that. This is the Fujimi Lamborghini Murcielago for advanced modelers, because it has a great big sheet of PE in there. So picked this one up specifically because of the great big sheet of photo etch. It is a typical Fujimi curbside as far as the Murcielago goes. These are, it has an okay top half of an engine kind of deal. But I, for a long time, did not buy these Fujimi Murcielagos just simply for the fact that I was hoping that Aoshima was going to do them, because Aoshima made that Super Veloce. And they have not done anything with the Super Veloce or Super Veloci since making the kit and then making the race car. They really need to go back and make the earlier version of the Murcielago race car, because there's like 7 sets of decals for it. But I don't think they're going to do that either. But, be that as it may, I grabbed that because I wanted to have some regular, earlier Murcielagos. Pick this up, the most hated kit in all of Ferraridom, the Fujimi F40 LM, because, well, this is the kit you need for the Tyson Star card. So we have the base kit for that. I know Patrick right now is watching this video cringing, and I cringe at it too. It's a pretty bad kit, but it is what it is. It's the only thing. That really doesn't racing interior either. It's more of a body and some pieces that sort of kind of look racy. But it's the closest thing you can get, because unfortunately the Italian GT card that Tamiya did, that's a F40 race car, doesn't have a racing interior at all. It actually still has 2 seats. It's basically a street car with some decals. Fujimi Murcielago Roadster, because I'm really convinced that Aoshima is not going to do this. So again, I wanted to sort of expand out my Lamborghini collection as far as modern cars go. Get back in there. And then there's this. This would be the Fujimi Lamborghini Gallardo SE. So a slightly later Gallardo in terms of the model years from that one I showed you guys the last time. This one I'm going to build just as a Gallardo. Remember the other one, guys, is the base kit for the London Metropolitan Police car. This one's going to just be a regular run Oyo Mill street car. And then we picked up this. It wasn't last week. It was in this box. Well, what do you know? So this is the 1999 Nissan Skyline GTR. This will, of course, be built as the Calsonic car. And then last but not least is one of the Fujimi Porsche 911 GT3R blanks. This is the kit we were talking about in terms of that Garmin car. Let me see if I can fish the decals out real quick. This will be the Garmin car. But you see, these here are the factory decals from Fujimi. They look awful familiar, don't they? They're missing the Porsche outline on the door sides, but it's pretty much the same pattern and logo. So this will become like I said, become the Garmin car, and it'll probably be built before the anime car, just because, paint it white, throw some decals on it, Shazam, it's done. The anime car is pretty much the same deal, but it's way more decals. And guys, I'm going to cut the video here. I have another box full of stuff. It'll be another video for another day. I think I've got some decals that I did not show you guys, although I'm not sure where they're sitting at. I think it may be the decals I'm thinking of are the ones that are in the box with the kits, because they came that way. So, anyway, guys, that is an update on where we've been, what we've got, and, yeah, we'll have more for you shortly. So, see you guys on the other side.